The agricultural sector, not just in the UK and Europe but worldwide, would appear, if the press is to be believed, to be an industrial sector in the state of near siege. CAP reforms, the recession, BSE, interest rates would all appear to be pressurising the industry. But when we visited the Royal Show at the beginning of July, shortly after the CAP reform announcements, the on-the-ground attitude of farmers as to the current state of the industry appeared to be slightly less than consistent with the overall tone of press reports. It's bad, but not apparently all bad.
I think dairy farming is going to be, good especially in the next 10 years.
Well, it has been slower, but we've kept up very well by the reputation we've got and the product that we're producing.
The general recession didn't hit Ireland to the same extent as it did here, because of the gross inflation of property prices here in the mid-80s on. But I think that's changing here now. A realisation is coming to them. And with the new CAP arrangements, it'll take a couple of years, I'd say, to settle in, settle back. People have to take less for properties that they're getting off their hands.
Marvellous, absolutely marvellous. We're being paid to set aside and grow poppies. It's a lovely way to farm, isn't it? Sit back in your chair on a Sunday and do nothing.
The
taxpayer will pay.
Admittedly, many of those attending the Royal Show were buoyed up by the day, perhaps more positive than they might otherwise be in the wee small hours of a winter morning, because farming is undoubtedly under pressure, challenged by market forces which are gradually eroding margins.
I think the recession is worse than people think. In where I come from in North Wales, it's livestock areas is bad. We're having just the same prices for lambs now that we were getting 10-15 years ago, whereas all our costs are going up. It's not what we get for our produce that's worrying us, it's our costs, you see.
The content of this programme, The Business of Farming, is basically focused on that single issue, and with the mechanisms by which input costs in some areas can be controlled while output is raised. 6 major suppliers to the industry run short features within the programme, examining their challenges of their specialist area and the solutions which they're able to offer. There is an advertising content, yes. The programme is, after all, funded by the participants. But there's also genuine analysis, genuine examination of how a product or service could help to reduce input costs or raise yields. And this programme may well as such serve to highlight key processes whereby input costs may be controlled and yields maximised. The Business of Farming lasts just under an hour. I hope you find it useful.
The economic environment of the late 20th century is a tough environment, an environment in which the demands of the city, indeed the demands of the financial community worldwide, pressure business. Productivity has become the issue, and the penalties which the market will impose for failure to achieve competitive productivity levels are severe. None of which, of course, is particularly new to business. Industry has, over the past decades, consistently invested in automation, mechanization, and technology as a route to improved productivity and improved profit. The difference in the late 20th century is the extent to which commercial performance has become increasingly dependent on developments in the design and manufacture of mechanization solutions. Successful commercial performance is in many ways now directly linked to the accurate selection and utilization of cost-effective and performance-effective mechanization tools. The agricultural sector is no exception. Indeed, given the input cost pressures which now confront the industry, the very survival of a number of medium-sized farms may very well depend on the success with which the mechanization of processes serves to improve productivity wherever possible. Last year, according to official government figures, farm incomes dropped, for example, by 14%. Productivity did rise by some 3%, but the benefit of this improved productivity, given continuingly weak markets, was more than eliminated by increases in input costs, which rose by some 4%. The reform of the Common Agricultural Policy will hardly alleviate these problems. Yes, farm incomes will arguably stabilise. The removal of uncertainty is a benefit, while the option to set aside the lowest yielding land while continuing to increase yields on land still under cultivation could have the consequence of actually raising net farm incomes in the short term. But the 29% cut in price support for cereals, matched to other, albeit lesser, cuts in price support for beef and butter, are nevertheless real cuts, and the nature of the reforms also questions the benefit of ever-increasing yields. Productivity as a route to lower input costs may become the key objective, and mechanisation, as in other industrial sectors, has a vital role to play in achieving vital productivity targets. Providing, of course, that such mechanisation equipment is capable of adjusting to the sometimes idiosyncratic requirements of the agricultural industry. Farming is composed of a diverse range of activities, and just as a farm labourer must be capable of tackling a wide range of tasks, so any mechanical equipment employed on a farm should ideally be similarly capable of addressing a wide range of functions. The economic logic for such versatility is simple. The greater the range of tasks to which a piece of equipment can be directed, so the greater the range of tasks to which the cost of the equipment can be attributed. In short, the more versatile the equipment, the lower the mechanisation cost per task becomes, and if equipment isn't versatile, then it may well not be cost-effective. This is the Teleram 3 from Matbro, a unique pivot steer telescopic materials handler. The Teleram 3 is an example of how an emphasis on research and design can produce a machine whose versatility, reliability and power serves to positively improve commercial performance. The Perkins turbo engine, rear-mounted for easy access for servicing and routine maintenance and improved operator vision, delivers 102 horsepower at a top speed of 32 kilometers per hour. Pivot steering. A unique feature on a telescopic handler ensures true axle tracking, unlimited side shift of loads, and phenomenal agility and stability. While the center-mounted cab shields the operator from noise, offers 360-degree visibility, and has access from both sides. The Teleram 3 is capable of lifting 2.5 tons to a height of 5.5 meters, while 171-degree carrier rotation and high-tilt cylinder thrust produces excellent breakout force. These features are complemented with a comprehensive range of attachments which allow an operator in seconds to adapt the Teleram to a massive range of tasks. All of which is impressive enough, but translate these features into the tough, real conditions of a working environment, and the true value of the Teleram 3 becomes apparent.
Well, the Teleram 3, I mean, what can you say? Good machine, rugged, goes anywhere. I mean, we'll go up a 1 in 4. I mean, the best thing to do is to try one yourself and see what you can do.
3 key Matbro characteristics enable the company to produce machines of such performance, reliability and consistency. The first is a policy of only accepting raw materials and components of the highest quality. Hydraulic couplings delivered to Matbro are, for example, tested to over 2.5 times required pressure limits. Secondly, Matbro benefit from a solid 40 years of experience in manufacturing material handlers, experience which generates a level of expertise that cannot be bought, and which is reflected in the skills and stringent quality standards which still dominate the production line. Thirdly, Matbro prioritise quality, fully testing the assembled loaders and operating a zero-defect policy. The fact that machines rarely fail this testing sequence says much about the standards to which the Matbro engineers work. At Matbro, this manufacturing expertise, this traditional emphasis on quality and excellence, is also matched with advanced computer-aided design technology, which enables the company, through heavy investment in research and development, to continually innovate and improve all aspects of loader design and manufacture. And it is this fusion of acquired expertise with the latest in computer-driven, innovative research, development and design which enables Matbro to produce loaders of such consistent reliability, quality and value, and which keeps the company a dominant player in the market. A network of over 80 dealers distributes Matbro equipment throughout the UK. Distributors who are not only able to advise clients on the suitability and flexibility of the various loaders, but who also offer ongoing support and after-sales service. In 1991, Matbro elected to become part of the Powerscreen Group, a move which gives the company access to even greater depths of research and development expertise and finance. Powerscreen, which manufactures materials handling equipment for use in a broad spectrum of industries, operating production facilities in the UK, the Republic of Ireland and America, achieved global sales in 1991 of over 72 million and is uniquely placed to further develop the strengths of Matbro. So the Matbro story continues. Innovative research and development will continue to develop loaders which genuinely benefit industry. Solid attention to detail and an emphasis on quality will continue to ensure that the loaders are tough and reliable. And the support which the Powerscreen Group are able to offer Matbro will ensure that the company continues to build on 40 years of solid, proven expertise. And Matbro as a company will therefore continue to prioritize the development and manufacture of materials handlers and loaders which genuinely help to meet the intense commercial pressures of the 90s and beyond. Which isn't to say that Matbro can make being in business any easier, but it does mean that your loaders and materials handlers can now be as tough as the problems they have to handle, as tough as you need them to be. Matbro, for versatile, cost-effective, reliable, powerful and productive loaders. Agriculture in the UK is and has to be a cost-conscious industry if it is to remain efficient, strong, competitive. Self-evident, but some costs are not so easy to identify or quantify.
The feeling I get initially is a tightening across the chest. I can't go near my cattle, I can't go near the grain shed. In the end, it mucks not only my work around, but my social life too.
I couldn't speak at all. I lost my voice totally. I couldn't swallow. I had to spit out my saliva because it was too painful. In the end, my throat was actually bleeding, my nose as well. A log had fallen off the saw table. Well, I bent down to pick it up, and the machine caught me. My mother held me until the ambulance arrived. I was 20 years old.
These are not unusual incidents. Last year, for example, 63 people were killed in farming accidents. And in the last 10 years, almost 2 people a week have lost their lives as a direct result of farming accidents. And innumerable others have suffered the effects of unnecessary, preventable farming-related illnesses. And the most distressing aspect of these statistics? The fact that the vast majority could have been avoided.
The requirement to improve farm safety and protect farm workers is not purely a moral one. The cost, both economic and human, of agricultural accidents can be phenomenal, a cost which the industry can no longer afford to bear. and a wealth of legislation also now demands improved protection.
The 1974 Health and Safety at Work Act, for example, requires you to protect not only yourself and anyone you employ, but others, including visitors, the general public, and in particular children. Your responsibilities even extend to anyone to whom you might rent or lease a building, or to whom you've provided equipment. The Act details a whole range of responsibilities, including, for example, the provision of an individual written safety policy if you have 5 or more employees, and the well-known COSH regulations further dictate high standards of employee safety in respect of the innumerable hazardous substances found on farms. Furthermore, 1993 will see the implementation of 6 new European Community directives, which will modernize current health and safety law and make employer responsibilities even more explicit. But in order to fully address or solve the health and safety problems inherent in agriculture, they first must be identified, and that, perhaps, is the problem, because the agricultural environment is inevitably made up of a bewildering array of hazards, from animals to uneven agricultural terrain, from dangerous machinery to toxic chemicals, and distinguishing what is safe practice from what is not sometimes takes more than common sense. But the agricultural industry need not confront these issues alone. The Health and Safety Executive, set up to ensure high health and safety standards in every workplace across all branches of industry, has an inspectorate devoted specifically to the needs of agriculture, one of its largest and most significant areas of responsibility. Staffed by experienced and well-qualified agricultural inspectors, working closely with doctors and nurses of the Employment Medical Advisory Service, and backed by engineers and scientists in the Health and Safety Executive's Field Consultant Group, and covering every part of Britain, it offers advice to farmers to enable high levels of farm safety and healthy working conditions.
You know, that you can catch these diseases from animals. Oh, I see we've got this Tarot mower here then. What we would like to see, if you buy another machine like this or something like that, have a look to see if the manufacturer provides you with a parking device. Yep. So, you know, just a piece of simple pipe welded on the side. You can keep the hydraulic connections clean, which is a good thing to look out for. I'm glad to see that they've taken care of this one. Upward pointing spikes are actually quite a dangerous thing when people are slipping and tripping, working round machines. And of course, that if you fell on that, that's not so bad. But you can imagine anything straight up is a bit difficult.
But if that advice is ignored, the farmer puts not only himself and others at risk, but also faces a £2,000 fine or even imprisonment.
The major causes of accidents are all simple. They are, first of all, a lack of awareness of health and safety issues, of building that awareness into the working process, day by day, all through the year. They are such simple things as not working on machinery whilst it's in motion. All too often, accidents are caused because people try to clear blockages whilst the machine's still running. It can't be done, can't be done safely. There are all the subsidiary problems of lack of training, lack of supervision. Training is particularly important. So many accidents are caused because people have not trained to do the job that they're doing, and it will get them into trouble, and they will be injured as a result. And I could go on, but the main point is that accidents are simple and they can be avoided. The executive and the inspectors in the agricultural inspectorate in particular can do a great deal to help the industry. We, for instance, inspect on a regular basis. We do about 40,000 inspections each year, and most of that work is advisory work. We are there to help the farmer understand the health and safety issues and to do something about it. Only from time to time do we have to reach for our powers and prosecute. That's in the background. Most of the time we're out there helping and advising. Manufacturers can come to us, and often do, to sort out their problems with new machinery during its development. We would like more farmers to come to us and say, we have a problem on our farm, we're not sure how to deal with it. We'll help them. They needn't be afraid that we will suddenly descend on them with our prosecution book in our hand, because that will not be the case. So I'm sure that we can help, if only people would help themselves as well. I think it would be possible to get a considerable reduction from the present level of accidents. I would guess at least 25% without too much effort, because the accidents are so simple that just a little bit of thought would prevent them. We could certainly get rid of all the child deaths that we have. We've not got many left now. We're down to single figures. It should be easy for the industry to get down to no child deaths in a year by common sense as much as anything else. But I do believe that the industry must make a big effort to get accidents further down than what they are now. And I think that although the industry is having some hard times, some of the things don't cost any money at all. It would be easy to overcome the simple kind of accident. There are some which will occur. Accidents do happen. But at least a quarter of the accidents could be prevented very, very simply indeed.
The Health and Safety Executive importantly fulfills an advisory as well as a regulatory function. As part of this service to farmers comes a comprehensive range of literature covering almost every aspect, every problem you might encounter in all areas of agricultural practice. This national and local educational role is absolutely vital if the Health and Safety Executive is to impress the agricultural industry of the importance, sometimes the life and death importance, of high health and safety standards. The full cost of poor standards of farm safety cannot be truly evaluated, simply because you cannot put a price on a limb, a person's health, their life. The courts, however, can put a price on these things, as well as a heavy fine on those responsible. Some of the costs of farming accidents are not just legally but economically quantifiable, and they are the costs of lost production, of compensation, of reduced productivity. Basic advice from the Health and Safety Executive, basic on-farm safety procedures which needn't cost anything, could eradicate those costs and ultimately could save lives. The Health and Safety Executive, helping to make your business safe and sound.
This herbicide, Encore Novatec, from Cyanamid, is widely used throughout the UK to combat meadow grasses and broad-leaved weeds in winter cereals. Safe, flexible and offering season-long protection, the benefits of Encore Novatec, an acknowledged ability to control a wide range of weeds throughout the life of the crop, but without any residue problems to affect following crops, are becoming increasingly well known to farmers. But perhaps less widely recognised, although equally important, is the level of sophisticated advanced research and development work behind Encore Novatec which provided these benefits, and the extent to which herbicides, indeed all agrochemicals, if they're to be genuinely appropriate for the modern agricultural industry, must now be similarly based on sophisticated chemical engineering. Farming is changing, and the tools which farmers use must change with it. Pesticides and fertilisers must now address much more than simply the principal issue of crop protection and yield. The increasing attention now devoted, quite rightly, to care for the environment, matched with a greater emphasis on worker safety, now required by the COSH regulations, demands that crop protection products should now be produced from ingredients which not only offer significant yield benefits, but which also meet increasingly stringent environmental and safety regulations. The problem, of course, is that the chemical engineering requirements needed to meet such exacting objectives can be phenomenally complex.
Priorities certainly have changed dramatically over the last 10 years, I would say. These days, the paramount drive is towards safety, both to people, animals and to the environment. So our research is really primarily aimed at that aspect now. I would say we spend in excess of about £30 million on safety when we're looking at a new molecule. Our research scientists in the States very much are looking at producing molecules which have inherent safety features in them, so that they are not toxic to mammals, they're not toxic to non-target organisms, and also they are inherently safe to the environment, so you won't get them into the water supply. We won't find them causing problems in 10 years' time. We also add to that with our development in that we are gearing very much to safer formulations for products, and in general, water-based products, low rates of use, high concentrations so that the farmer is not carrying around a lot of chemical. There's very low risk to him when he's mixing up or when he's applying the product. And as I say, it's not something that's going to hang around in the environment. So I think we very much have a challenge, and we're addressing that both through basic research and through subsequent development.
These laboratories at Cyanamid in Gosport, Hampshire, are devoted to research and development work into herbicide formulations which are sold worldwide. Chemists working in these laboratories continually seek to turn abstract formulations, often identified from Cyanamid's basic research, into products which not only control more and bigger weeds, but which also meet required environmental and safety standards. Encore Novatec, whose formulations do achieve these objectives, is a result of extensive research and considerable ingenuity at these laboratories. Encore is based on a fundamental active ingredient discovered by and unique to cyanamid, pendimethalin. Developed by Cyanamid to meet the requirements of cereal farmers for a product that controls a wide range of grass and broad-leaved weeds, gives residual control of late germinators, is safe to the crop and the environment, pendimethalin is inherently grassweed active and important for two reasons. The first, quite obviously, is the effectiveness of the chemical in combating a broad range of weeds. The second, equally important characteristic, well recognised within the industry, is the importance of minimal environmental hazard and the extent to which pendimethalin has inherent low toxicity, low solubility in groundwater, and the ability to photodegrade in the spring into harmless metabolites. Encore utilises these benefits of pendimethalin, but also combines them with small quantities of IPU. The result is a herbicide which combines the strengths of both products, giving persistent control of a very wide range of weeds, pre or post-emergence, with a dual mode of action for reliable performance every autumn. The characteristics of the Encore formulation are as such highly relevant to the modern farming industry, particularly with the current concerns to maintain the purity of drinking water supplies. But Encore Novatec has one final feature, which confirms both the importance of the herbicide and the benefit of skilled, committed research and development work. And that is a unique crystal engineering process developed at their laboratories, which Cyanamid call Novatec. Novatec is, in essence, a new method of manufacturing pendimethalin, which enables a product to be sold not as an emulsion concentrate, with the pendimethalin dissolved in an organic solvent, but as a suspension concentrate formulated in water. Why is this important? Because it makes the handling and application of Encore, indeed all herbicides which use the Novatec technology, significantly safer. Indeed, most herbicides using the Novatec system are so safe that they require a minimal cost-risk assessment, thereby reducing the need for costly or time-consuming control measures. And none of these safety and environmental characteristics demand any reduction in the efficiency of the herbicide. Encore Novatec is but one in a range of new generation herbicides, specifically developed by Cyanamid to meet the often conflicting demands of the modern agricultural industry. But whatever Cyanamid herbicide you use, be that Trump, Dagger, Stomp, Avenge, or indeed Encore, you can be certain that all will be bred from the same stable of committed research and development, which guarantees both effective weed control and the fulfilment of increasingly complex market, legislative and political forces. Forces which demand improved productivity, improved safety and improved care for the environment.
We've used Dagger, Encore and Stomp in the autumn to control our major broadleaf weeds, speedwells, mayweeds, chickweeds and some meadowgrasses. They give us good control consistently and either pre-emergent or early post. And we've used Avenge in the spring on the wild oats. The Cyanamid products are very safe, being water-based. They're not only safe for the environment, but also for the operator. They've given us good, consistent weed control throughout the year.
Herbicides, crop protection products generally, which lack the research and development support offered by Cyanamid, will not necessarily be any less effective, any less appropriate to the needs of the modern farming industry. But equally, a lack of commitment to research and development hardly serves to guarantee the quality and value of the product. Cyanamid have that commitment, and their herbicides have that guarantee. A guarantee which will allow the modern agricultural industry to keep growing, but to do so with care.
This spreader is correctly calibrated. It's been maintained in good condition and the operator is fully trained. But this equipment may nevertheless be failing to apply fertilizer with sufficient accuracy, may be failing to maximize on the input value of the fertilizer, despite the skill and professionalism with which the equipment is being used. Simply because operator professionalism, however thorough, can't compensate for the inability of this spreader to adapt to complex external variables, such as prill size, ground conditions and the weather. Variables which can, if not compensated for, restrict the certainty with which fertilizer is applied. The question to which this part of the programme addresses itself is whether this restriction of certainty in the application of fertilizer should be considered acceptable, and whether, equally importantly, there is any alternative.
The pressing simultaneous demand for both optimum yields and lower costs, combined with the attention given to the consequences of nitrate leaching, has served to underline only too well the importance of accurate fertiliser application. And the industry has responded. But however cost-conscious the industry may now be, however environmentally conscious farmers may wish to become, the inevitably tough working conditions of the agricultural industry, combined with fertiliser characteristics, can serve to limit even the most worthy of intentions.
The physical properties of the fertiliser have a great bearing on the accuracy obtained in the spread pattern. The size of the prill and the density of the prill, and in the case of blended material, the quality of the blended material, and again the density of the constituents of that blend, plus the surface texture, will have a great bearing on the accuracy of the spread pattern. But if you have uneven prill size, or you have differing densities or uneven surface texture, it makes the fertilisers that much more difficult to spread. Inevitably, the growing conditions and weather conditions will have an effect on the spreading, because the country is not flat, and farmers who live in coastal areas will have high humidity conditions. In open areas such as the East Anglia, there will be large fields which would have strong wind conditions, and then there are uneven terrain, hilly areas where it's almost marginal that a farmer would want to spread fertiliser, but he has to overcome these problems, and with the correct machinery he can overcome those problems.
It's vital not to underestimate the effect of inaccuracies in fertiliser application, however slight, on crop development, on yields, on costs, and possibly on the environment. Recent research by Bergstrom, a biologist at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, reaffirms that the development of each and every plant depends on the available plant nutrients in its immediate surroundings. Investigating the consequences of uneven fertiliser distribution, his study emphasises that if all other growing factors such as soil structure and soil water are uniformly distributed, then all the plants must have the same access to the nutrients supplied by the fertiliser. Because plant nutrients delivered by fertiliser and dissolved in the soil tend to move either directly upwards in dry conditions or directly downwards in wet conditions. There is very limited horizontal movement. Bergstrom's study is a development of important earlier research by the same Agricultural Sciences Department, which found the plant fertiliser distance usage curve to be severe. Significantly, plants growing only a short distance from where the fertiliser landed, around 2 rows, were shown to use only 10% of the available nutrients. So even the slightest inaccuracies in fertiliser application can therefore produce large disparities in crop development, crop yield, and therefore limit the return achieved on what is always a significant investment in fertiliser. The accuracy of fertiliser application is expressed in terms of a coefficient of variation. The lower the coefficient, the more accurate the application, a coefficient of 10% being a realistic target. If application accuracy falls to a coefficient of 20%, a surprisingly frequent occurrence, losses in yield could be up to 625 kilos per hectare of grain. Roughly equivalent for a farmer growing 1,000 acres of cereals to leaving 84 acres completely unsown.
It's therefore vital to ensure that your fertiliser spreader is capable of achieving high levels of accuracy, which in turn is only possible if your spreader system is designed to adapt to external variables, designed to adapt to fertiliser characteristics, to the weather, even to the land itself.
This is the Amazone ZAM 1800 precision fertiliser broadcaster. An example of how innovation in the design and manufacture of spreaders is serving to enable compensation for fertiliser, ground and weather conditions, and enable improved fertiliser accuracy. The immediate impression which the ZAM 1800 makes is of a spreader designed for ease of use, for reliability, and for, in short, the modern farming industry. Rear warning plates and lights for new traffic regulations, an optional roll kit for easy manoeuvring around the farm, the availability of an extra-wide hopper and protective foldable sieve, together with a hopper cover for travelling or poor weather use, all, for instance, confirm the thoroughness of the spreader design. Closer inspection reveals, however, further innovative features which really set this broadcast spreader apart from others available on the market. Features which can positively improve application accuracy. The ZAM 1800 addresses the problem of variable fertiliser consistency, for example, through this, a slow-running helicoidal agitator system. The system ensures application precision despite varying fertiliser consistency, be that granules, urea or blends, by drawing the material gently towards the outlets, preventing the powdering of a big payload, and thereby delivering the fertiliser onto the spreading discs at precisely the right rate, and in the same form as it started, no crushing or powdering here. The spreading discs themselves, unique to Amazone, either the Omnia set or the Tele set for boundary usage, are similarly designed for near total accuracy. The Omnia set spreading disc produces a virtually perfect spread pattern with tapering sides, a fact confirmed by international tests. The spreading vanes can be adjusted and repositioned, as required by bout test results, achieved with a few turns by hand of a conveniently large wing nut, while the wings at the outer end of the vanes can be easily folded upwards without the aid of tools, ensuring that fertiliser flies higher and gently drops with a reduced energy from above the grain, invaluable for late top dressing. When in use, the Amazone ZAM 1800 also incorporates features which allow operators to monitor application accuracy. Fitted as standard is the calibration bucket, which allows the operator, aided by the comprehensive professional rate-setting chart, to quickly verify application rates, with a basic check during use made possible by large windows in the hopper wall, which allow the operator to continually review fertiliser levels. If ground or weather conditions should change during the course of application, a plus-minus control, manually operated from the cab, allows easy compensation for a possible increase or decrease of spreading rate by up to 50%. For more detailed monitoring, the onboard computer Amatron 2 can give the operator all the information he needs to achieve utterly precise application. When used with the M-System fertiliser broadcasters, the Amatron system allows for a forward speed rate dependent control, for spreading rates to be reduced or increased, and for spreading to one side. Even during operation, various information can be accessed, such as average operation efficiency, spread rate and quantity, and forward speed. John Richards, who farms 300 acres in Wiltshire, is just one of the many farmers to have first-hand knowledge of the improved application accuracy which the Amazone system makes possible.
The yield should be a lot more even over the field because you're putting it on so accurately that every bit of the ground is having the same amount, which you couldn't guarantee with my last machine. You take your calibration chart which Amazone supply you, and you go to your stack and whichever you're using, such as slug pallets, grass seeds, complete fertilizer, or the prilled nitrogen, you look at your calibration chart and see what quantity you put on and what speed you go, and set it accordingly and go out in the field, and you'll find that it is very accurate from then on. The pattern of the spread is something that I find phenomenal. It spreads it as if each prill is placed half an inch apart. Seeing is believing. It really is phenomenal.
The Amazone ZAM range of broadcast spreaders is but one range in a series of products developed, manufactured and marketed by Amazone, which seek to extend the accuracy and certainty of fertilizer application. The Amazone pneumatic precision fertilizer spreaders demonstrate, for example, a similar emphasis on innovation, technology and design as routes to improved application standards. Amazone are an international company. Their systems are tested to perfection in the Amazone Test Hall and in rigorous field trials, and are in use throughout Europe. And innovation means that Amazone are at the forefront of technology, constantly extending the precision and accuracy with which fertilizer can be applied. It is now recognized that fertilizer quality is only half the equation in improving crop yields. The efficiency with which that fertilizer is applied is equally, if not more, important. Without quality equipment, such efficiency can't be ensured. Amazone broadcast and pneumatic spreaders enable that efficiency, that precision, that certainty. Amazone, designed for the industry, by the industry.
The agricultural industry needs to protect its substantial assets, a statement of the obvious. No competent manager would even consider leaving stock, inputs or produce exposed to the elements. But what the industry may be less aware of is the extent to which the tools intended to provide that protection, the farm buildings, may be failing to provide it adequately, simply because the materials employed in the construction of farm buildings may not be adapted to the sometimes severe conditions inherent in agriculture.
Galvanized steel, for example, tough, durable, flexible, a material often used in farm buildings. This piece has just come off the building behind me, but because it was unable to adapt to a combination of factors present both in this building and the environment, this material has simply corroded, and the building behind me, from which it came, originally intended to fully protect the assets of the farm, is now no longer able to fully fulfill its function after only 10 years.
This farm building and the condition it's in is not unusual. Other farm buildings constructed from similarly deficient materials, and steel is just one example of a building material not totally suited to farm use, may also be failing to fulfill the objective for which they were first constructed.
Your farm buildings, your investment in your business, may well be similarly hampered by unsuitable material.
The factors which any materials used in the construction of an agricultural building must cope with basically fall into two factors. There are external and there are internal factors. Examples of external factors would include the weather and pollution. The second factor would be internal elements, which are perhaps the most harmful, and pollutants formed internally by gases from animals, from vehicles and the like will build up to form a potentially corrosive cocktail. The cost of a building material's failure to cope with these factors has far-reaching implications. On one hand, you've got the total roof and cladding replacement cost far in advance of the building's life expectancy, to a reduction in profits caused by crop damage, by animal ill health, by lower milk yields, or indeed increased fattening times. Local authority planning regulations have an impact on the choice of material used in terms of the building's use and also its context within the environment. Materials will have to satisfy certain criteria, including the design, the use of colour, the harmonisation in the context of existing buildings and also the rural environment, and also the position of the building.
This is a Profile 6 sheet, part of the Eternit roofing range, a building material which, through its unique characteristics adapted to agricultural use, genuinely addresses the issues of material suitability. Durable, Profile 6, along with all Eternit fibre cement profiled products, is maintenance-free, has a full replacement guarantee for 30 years and an expected lifespan of 50 years. This material not only serves to reduce internal noise levels from machinery or from weather conditions such as rain by reducing noise resonances, it also ensures more even temperatures, better ventilated buildings, and a major reduction in condensation problems which cause dampness and associated infections, the results of which will significantly improve livestock health and comfort, meaning higher yields and greater profits.
It will not rust, rot or corrode, while gently rounded profiles, which incidentally make Profile 6 suitable for low roof pitches down to 5 degrees, and a wide range of visually attractive colours also ensure that the building will blend into the local environment, a potentially critical benefit, with local planning authorities now recommending darker colours to harmonise with the rural landscape. And Eternit's fibre cement formulation with no asbestos content significantly has none of the major disadvantages of dark metal roofing, namely uneven internal temperatures and the expansion of fixing holes with climatic changes, which become not only quickly prone to rust, but also cause noise levels which alarm livestock. The unique fibre cement formulation from which Profile 6 and most of the Eternit range is manufactured combines specially selected natural and synthetic fibres and fillers with Portland cement and water, and it is this unique formulation of fibre cement, when combined with the flexibility of the Eternit product range, which makes Profile 6 of such particular relevance to the farming industry. The Eternit fibre cement formulation allows the product to substantially reduce condensation by, quite literally, breathing, absorbing and dissipating moisture. And this breathing characteristic sets fibre cement apart from other conventional materials, such as steel. In 1991, for example, using a mathematical model, ADAS compared the probable condensation rates of both steel and fibre cement in a representative agricultural building. The study suggested that condensation levels in steel-clad buildings are some 17 times worse than that experienced with an Eternit fibre cement roof. The impact that this reduced dripping has on animal welfare and asset protection is significant. The impact it has on building lifespan, and therefore the return of your investment, potentially staggering. The Eternit formulation takes this specific beneficial breathing characteristic of fibre cement and creates profiled products that are genuinely appropriate to the needs of the agricultural industry. Products which not only react to and overcome the problems of toxic and humid atmospheres, animal welfare and planning regulations, but which also match the actual operating requirements of the farming industry. Eternit roofing systems are designed, for example, to be easy to fit, because they're designed to be easily worked with hand tools, a significant advantage in a cost-conscious industry. Profile 6 from the Eternit range seems as such to be the ideal farm building material.
Having had a steel roof on this building from new, which only lasted about 10 years, our priorities were to replace it with a roofing system that was going to last a lot longer than that and be maintenance free. The roof was relatively easy to fit. 2 members of farm staff did the job during a quiet period a year ago when we put it up. Once they got the hang of the fixings and the way it had to be done, it was a straightforward job. We felt the value of the Eternit product characteristics were that we've got a building here with a high density of stock which produces a lot of condensation. The problem we'd had with a steel roof was the problem of where the steel was fixed to the purlins. This we felt wasn't going to be a problem with this sheet. We also live in a very high rainfall and an area where we get a lot of sea fog, which also doesn't help as far as corrosion is concerned. And this product, after weathering, will blend into the surroundings well, we felt. Having now had a steel roof and a fibre cement roof on this building, I wouldn't have any hesitation in using a fibre cement sheet on a livestock building of this sort again, in preference to a steel roof.
Profile 6 is produced in the UK by Eternit, the market leader in fibre cement technology, being the result of many years' research and development working closely with the agricultural industry. The Eternit Profile range covers just about any possible roofing or cladding requirement, including a full range of alternative profiles and panels, such as Profile 3, with a low profile that makes it particularly suitable for wall cladding or garages. Also readily available are 4 different ventilation systems, any one of which will ensure the free-flowing movement of air required by healthy livestock, and a comprehensive range of rainwater accessories. If your agricultural building needs any unique fittings or architectural touches, Eternit also provide a comprehensive service, manufacturing a variety of accessories to order, the special details and features that give every building its individual character. And Eternit's emphasis on quality control is second to none. All Eternit products are of the highest standard, approved by the British Board of Agreement and proven by exhaustive tests and innumerable completed projects. And the cost? The initial price difference against steel may seem higher, but Eternit fibre cement's superior lifespan will more than make up for it in the long run, because Eternit roofs will go on looking good and performing well throughout the lifetime of 3 or possibly even 4 steel roofs.
With the relentless pressure for lower costs and greater efficiency, the agricultural industry faces increasing modernisation, inevitable if it is to remain competitive. And as that is gradually achieved by means such as economies of scale, increased mechanisation and better all-round management, the asset value of most farms will also inevitably increase. So, it is even more vital that, with the industry dependent on agricultural building to protect its long-term investment, it requires essential building materials that can be totally relied on, not just for 5 years, but for 50. The industry simply cannot afford to put any of its assets at risk, which, perhaps, is the ultimate reason for choosing Eternit profiled sheeting. Because it's not only the right decision, it's also the right decision for tomorrow. Eternit, a decision for the future. This is a sewage treatment plant. And this is sewage sludge, one of the main beneficial byproducts of the plant. A traditional fertilizer, rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, the application of sewage sludge to the land is a common, established, natural part of the farming process. Every year, over 10 million liquid tons are successfully used by satisfied farmers.
In this sort of weather, when we've got a drought on, when they put the sludge, it's equivalent of 2 inches of rainfall, which really starts the grass growing again. It's very advantageous in that respect. And also, when they spread the ground in the winter and it's terribly wet, they've got these ballast tyres and they never make any mess at all. So I find no disadvantage to this sewage sludge whatsoever.
That usage now looks set to increase, and may, given the economic pressure which now confronts farming, come to play an increasingly significant role in the UK agricultural industry of the 90s and beyond. In 1991, British farmers faced a chemical fertiliser bill of an estimated £450 million. There is now an opportunity to make further use of sewage sludge to reduce that expenditure, because the sewage sludge volumes which were previously put out to sea, some 6 million liquid tonnes all told, are now becoming available for agricultural use, presenting some very attractive cost and productivity benefits. The agricultural industry's previous failure to fully maximise the benefits offered by sewage sludge are probably largely historical, and perhaps connected with misconceptions about sludge's possible contamination with toxic substances or the potential odour problems. This may have been a valid misgiving 20 years ago, but the large technological advances achieved and the high regulatory standards set ensure that sludge is today more than ever, a sound and safe alternative to artificial chemical fertilisers.
Industrial wastes going into sewage works are tightly regulated, and the water companies over the past few years have made strenuous efforts to good effect to control the types of materials going into the sewers so that sludges produced at the sewage works are not contaminated. Sewage sludge is the solid phase that's produced during sewage treatment. It contains a high percentage of organic matter and also concentrates up both nitrogen and phosphorus. Consequently, it's a valuable source of fertiliser for agriculture. There are two types of sewage sludge available. There's digested sludge and the undigested. Both types are available in two phases, namely as a liquid material or as a sludge cake. At present, sewage sludge is about 1% of the fertiliser use in UK agriculture. So of course there is scope there for further increased substitution for inorganic fertilisers. The production of inorganic fertilisers requires energy. There is energy required in transport and the pollution associated with that, and the application. Substitution of sewage sludge avoids such environmental damages and indeed is a sound environmental route for the use of sludge. There is also, of course, a financial benefit to the farmer in such substitutions.
The water services industry, as represented by the Water Services Association, has now sought to develop a service, the Sludge to Land service, which will make the agriculture industry more aware not only of the quality standards to which sludge is now produced, but more importantly, of the commercial and environmental benefits. All the water service companies ultimately share the same aim, for a well-regulated, fully comprehensive and flexible service for agriculture. Before application, a consultant from your regional water services company will visit your farm and establish its suitability to receive sludge, collecting soil samples, which are then subjected to a full and sophisticated analysis in their laboratories. This analysis serves a number of functions, but its principal objective is to match a specific sludge against soil type and quality. Though all types of sludge act as natural soil conditioning fertilisers, in that they all contain nitrogen, phosphorus and organic matter, as well as essential trace elements such as magnesium, individual sludges do offer slightly different characteristics and therefore different fertilisation properties. And the role of the consultant is to ensure the most accurate and productive match is made between the available sludge, soil and crop. Liquid digested sludge, for example, acts as a quick-acting source of nitrogen because the process of digestion at the treatment plant reduces the organic matter by about half, importantly converting much of the nitrogen to ammonia. As a result, up to 60% of the total nitrogen, including 100% of the ammonia, is available to the crop in the first year. The process of anaerobic digestion further stabilises the sludge, minimising the likelihood of pathogen transfer and any possible offensive odours. The characteristics of digested sludge should be contrasted with the properties of undigested sludge, which, particularly cake, releases nitrogen much more slowly. But the soil and sludge analysis is only the first stage in the service, which can include advice on storage, free delivery and application. This ensures that you are given complete flexibility with a wide range of options, including state-of-the-art technology such as modern soil injection techniques, which will ensure extremely accurate application and better nutrient management, while at the same time reducing any potential odours. And although the service is provided free, it is of a high standard. In fact, all members of the Water Services Association keep detailed records on every field fertilised with sludge, updated with regular monitoring. And every aspect of the Water Services Association's Sludge to Land service, provided by each of the 10 water service companies, conforms to strict quality controls, even going beyond the comprehensive regulations for the use of sludge laid down in recent legislation.
We saw some sludge being used on neighbouring farms, and in particular on some river meadows just by the new bridge over the Severn, and were quite impressed by the results people were getting, and so decided to use it, and we've been quite impressed with the results that we have got. We believe it improves the quality of the turf. It seems to be good value insofar as we don't actually pay for it, and a quite convenient use of probably a waste material.
John Gummer, Minister of Agriculture, commenting on his ministry's annual report, suggested that 1991 had not been a good year for British farmers. Hardly an overstatement. Industry borrowing levels reached an estimated £6.55 billion, aided no doubt by a combination of a drop in revenue levels of 1% and a substantial 4% increase in input costs. The comprehensive and efficient sludge-to-land service, provided by all of the members of the Water Services Association, which takes you from the initial soil analysis through application of sludge right up to the developing crop, should therefore be seen as a vital service and a timely contribution to the solution of a major economic problem.
That was the Business of Farming documentary programme. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts, particularly criticisms of the programme, or if you'd like any information on the products and services featured, then please simply fill in the card provided. That card, incidentally, will be entered into a free draw with a cash prize of up to £1,000. You can also contact us at ArtStart should the card be missing. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found the programme useful.